Hey guys, welcome to Savvy Sesh. I'm Ellana McKechnie, and today I'm talking to Ellana who runs SweetP Cakes and Cookies up on the Sunshine Coast. Hey Ellana, how you going?
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. So, how are things going at the moment? Are you very busy?
Busy today. Yes, heaps of Mother's Day this week. So, yeah, shooting out lots of cookies and still have lots of birthday orders too. So, yeah, it is a busy week.
Awesome. So tell me about how you got into cake decorating.
Usual story, I think, for cake decorators. So I used to work actually in the event industry and in community events. So I've always been around a creative environment, but I found my job was not particularly family friendly. So once I had kids, I decided to be a full-time mum and decided that being a mum, I needed to learn how to bake. So that's what I sort of put my mind to, baking. And I just loved that creative side. I loved baking with my kids, and it kind of evolved from there with birthday parties. And, you know, I lived in a small community at that time on Kangaroo Island, and people just started asking me to make their kids cakes, and I loved it, and I found it was a great creative outlet, and it was quite easy to get registered there as well, just to register your home kitchen. It was a super small fee and quite a low-key effort to do it as a hobby business there. So that was a really good step in for me as well.
Yeah, that's cool. It's funny how so many of us have that same thing. Yeah, had kids, had to learn how to make birthday cakes. So that's... so many of our stories, I reckon. It's real, but it's cool. It's good that you can then go and make something of it. So what's your favourite part of what you're doing now? Because you do cakes and cookies.
Yes. So cakes, cookies and donuts, and I do cupcakes as well, but I don't do as many cupcakes, I find. But I guess my favourite part is just being asked to be a part of people's special days. Honestly, that's my motivator. I love it when people go, you know, we've got this really special occasion and we'd love you to be a part of it. And that to me is always the reward. But yeah, I love decorating cakes with cookies, and fresh florals are my other passion as well. Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you about your photography, because the stuff that's on particularly your Instagram, I was just looking at a little while ago, the photos are all amazing. Do you take those all yourself?
Oh, thank you. I do take them unless they're credited. So most of my event photos are taken by other people, but all my cakes and cookie photos are mine. And look, it didn't come natural to me. Like, that is something that I taught myself. I knew, particularly, you know, when Instagram particularly first started, it was all about how beautiful your images were. So I do use a really nice camera, and then I edit my photos before I pop them on. I know lots of people get beautiful imagery from their iPhones. For me, that's just not my jam, but yeah, I do kind of like that creative part as well, of styling your images and that sort of thing as well. I just wish sometimes you have more time. Every cake doesn't get photographed in my studio. I'll quite often try and pick cakes out that I know are a little bit different, or a particular custom which I think other people will like, or will fit in with my branding as well. And I do always get a photographer to my kids' parties and get some imagery around that. I love events as well, so I'm really passionate about the whole event, not just whilst I just provide the cakes. I have a real understanding, coming from the event industry, about the creative process of that, and making and having a cake as part of the picture rather than the whole picture. And I love collaborating with other event industry people in my area and working with them. That to me is, you know, my workmates and those people that, you know, help inspire you as well. And they're people that give you business as well. So, yeah.
And so I think too, with the kids' parties, is seeing that concept come together of, you know, a colour scheme or a theme or something. All those people come together, or even yourself, you know, sometimes it's just a mum decorated job, but you've done the cupcakes and the cookies and the cake and everything to go with it. So just building on that. concept, I guess, and seeing it come to fruition is, I suppose, rewarding.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And I do actually still have a few clients who will order just cookies from me, and then they'll decorate their own cake with my cookies as well. So that happens too. Everyone has different budgets and different levels of what they want to contribute to their children or families' parties. And some people, it is just making that their grandma's chocolate cake, and that's their family thing. So if I, if they've popped on a fairy cookie on top of their grandma's mother's cake, I think that's amazing, and I'm happy to be a part of that as well.
Yeah. And so in terms of, say, your favourite style of decorating, do you have a favourite style?
I now mostly decorate with buttercream. I started out doing fondant cakes, and I love a fondant finish cake, don't get me wrong, but now I'm in Noosa in Queensland. The humidity is quite high, so all year round as well. And being a coastal town, even our venues don't have air conditioning, so they're just open to, sea breezes and humidity, really. So they just don't present as nice as a buttercream cake. And I always find that, you can pop a buttercream cake in the fridge, keep it beautiful until you're ready to pop it on display as well. Also works for parties in the park and that sort of thing as well. So I am a big fan of the buttercream cake. Love a fondant cake though, but if different environment, definitely would go back to doing more fondant cakes too. The other positive with buttercream is they're a lot more cost effective because they are a lot less work to finish, and also cheaper. You're not using ganache and that sort of thing as well. So it makes it sometimes more affordable for clients too.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good way to be thinking, actually, particularly up there. So is there anything further that you want to learn, or where do you want to take SweetP?
I'm happy where we are at the moment. I find I just slowly evolve. So as my kids grow and as I have more time to commit to the business, I tend to take on more orders, or I feel like, I've established my style and my comfort level around that. So for me, it's always staying on top of marketing, which I know we've discussed privately before, keeping up with the socials and marketing and making ordering cakes really easy as well. So I'm always trying to develop that around my website, and making that communication process more streamlined as well, because people, they want answers now and they want to organise their cake now. And we all know as a sole trader, it's hard to be across everything. So that's something that I always try and keep streamlined as well.
Yeah. And you mentioned style too. I feel like, and I say this to a lot of people, I feel like you do have a style, because you can pick your work kind of out of a lineup. Do you know what I mean? Like, and certain creators do. Like, I've been told I have a style, and I was like, do I? I didn't think I did. And they're like, I do. So it's like, okay. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, is to sit within that. What do you think? Do you feel like you have a style?
I feel like I have a style, and I feel like people are starting to know what my style is, and I feel like people come to me for my style now as well, which is amazing. And I think that that's that's part of my branding as well, and it's part of every cake decorator's branding. If people can kind of recognize your work for your style. And I also find then people come to you and say, oh, I'm having a daisy party, and I just want you to come up with the design. These are the colors I'm working with. I mean, that's every cake decorator's dream, isn't it? When people say, here's the theme, can you just come up with something in your style? That's the biggest tick of approval, that they're going to be happy with your work as well, and they trust you. And I think that's the other thing. I don't want to compare McDonald's to to cake decorators, but you know what you're going to get with McDonald's. So if you have a style, people are going to know what they're going to get from you as well. So yeah. No, a big thumbs up for style.
I use Macca's as a great analogy all the time to revert back. It's just in business and just stuff, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in terms of who you like would get inspiration from, do you have like a cake hero or someone that you would love to sit in a cake class with, or who would you sign up to sit with and learn from?
Yeah. So many people. And I think the other thing is, I'll just say straight up, is most people are really happy if you DM them and ask them questions. So sometimes you can sit with people and say hello. So don't ever be shy of asking your cake heroes questions, because most are really generous in their information as well. But I do love Karen Stack from Lick the Bowl's work. Her precision is second to none, and I just find that really admirable. And I also love her unique designs and unique take on trends as well. She doesn't just do what everyone else is doing. So, and she's definitely somebody, obviously her clients go, Karen, this is our theme. Just go for it, because you know her work. So, and people come to her for her work. So she's definitely...
do love Stacky's work. It is so clean every time. So
I know, it's incredible.
It is really
Let's not talk about stripes.
I know. She's the queen of stripes.
Oh, yeah.
So do you have a favourite tool or tip or trick for decorating? Let's pick your brains and let's find out what they are.
Sure. Well, I love Cuttercraft's those rings that make the cake smaller, because I use the lid method. They changed my life from trimming every layer of cake to just smashing those out, and they're beautiful and round, and love those. And I also love Monica's new liners, so get on board, people. If you haven't got those yet, get them in your shopping cart, because they are amazing, beautiful and amazing for the environment, and they're also just so good. They make your cakes really moist, and they're really great.
Yeah, I do have some here that I haven't had the chance to throw a cake in the oven yet, but the feedback that they're getting, like in a lot of the cake forums, is unbelievable. So
I think she's going to change the world with those. Great job, Mon.
That's it.
Yeah, they're really great.
Like I'm conscious always, like I try and use biodegradable piping bags and stuff like that. So I'm conscious of the amount of baking paper that we throw away, because it's not recyclable. So I think, if we can all use those and stuff like that is more sustainable, then it's a win-win.
I think it's a whole nother subject about cake decorators and the environment. I think, some of the reasons why we have our clients is because people want that handmade, and they want sustainable, and they want small business. So I think it's really important as decorators to be conscious of that as well. And, think about your composting and recycling your soft plastics and all those things that we use. And always thinking about our impact is important as well as a small business, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really good thing to try and remember. Okay, so have you had a cake fail? This is my favourite question.
I know, I can tell by your
face. The best cake decorators down to earth, and you just think, oh, they're normal.
It's probably a cake decorator's least favourite question, but I have had probably nearly all the cake fails. I've baked the cake on the wrong date, I've put the wrong name, I've put the wrong age, but I do think it's not the fail, it's how you recover from your fail that defines you. And always be generous in your recovery with your clients, admit your mistake, and work with them on how you can rectify the situation. And I think that's when you'll get people coming back. People don't mind that you've made a mistake, might be disappointed in a situation, but you can only do your best, and we're all human at the end of the day. So just think about how you're going to rectify it. Don't think about the mistake. Just move on from how you're going to make the best of that situation, and try and learn the lesson, change your processes, or think about how it won't happen again.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what do you think is your best tip for balancing cake and life?
Working out what hours you want to work and sticking within those. I think it's really important to define your goals, and you don't have to be everything to everybody as well, I think is the other tip. And be okay with saying no, and passing on work to other decorators in your area that might suit their style better rather than your own. But yeah, definitely stick within your hours. Don't be working to midnight every night if you're getting up at 4 a.m. to your kids to, you know, get them places. Work out what works for you and your lifestyle. And that's different for everybody. So, and sometimes that takes a little while to sort of go, you know, you just want to say yes to everything. But sometimes, you know, looking after yourself is the biggest thing, I think, to stay in business. So I think otherwise you burn out.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think you've got to have time off. You've got to scratch the days out of your book sometimes and just take that time, because it's just mentally exhausting. Like it is. It's mentally exhausting trying to juggle, you know, the admin and the cakes and the clients and everything at once. So yeah, I totally agree. And I think we all kind of do learn the hard way.
Yeah.
From experience, because we all do it to ourselves at one stage or another, don't we?
I know, especially when you start out in business, because you just think, oh, they really want my cake, you know, so you really, you know, and I think that that's amazing. And but you do need to look after yourself in that process, because there's no use having a worn out cake decorator either, or only been in business for a short time because you are just burnt the candle at both ends. You're better off looking after yourself in that process and being more available and long term, and growing that as things change. That's the best thing about business, is you can do you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so new question. I haven't asked this one before. What do you do while you're working? Are you a watcher or a listener? Have you got any Netflix?
Oh, yeah, I am a watcher. I watch all sorts of things. I love old movies and I love English comedies. I don't know if they've got any recommendations particularly. But yeah, I watch everything. I've even watched just Friends replays sometimes if you don't have to see it. So sometimes it's just listening, because you know the characters so well that you just sort of listen along. I definitely can't watch anything a bit complicated or where you need to really know lots of characters and that sort of thing. But yeah, no, I do. I probably watch more than and listen to a few podcasts and that sort of stuff, but I probably don't listen to too many podcasts, because I think sometimes if you have to do too much thinking outside of what you're doing, that's a distraction as well, and you tend to be slower at your work. So yeah, something easy, I guess. Yeah, I don't listen to much music, actually. Funny enough, we're quite a musical household, but I don't tend to listen to music when I'm working. Don't know why that is.
It's really interesting. I find the stuff that people they work. So what's coming up for you?
International Cake Show next weekend. Super exciting. So working with Vicky Smalls and Custom Cookie Cutters in doing some take-home cookie packs. Yeah, so that's super exciting to be a part of that again, and teaching this year. So yeah, there's a few. I'm doing Saturday and Sunday, and there are still classes and tickets available as well. So get on board if you're Queensland based.
Do you teach very often?
No, I don't, and I get asked to do classes a lot. We're a fairly small community, so I don't sort of feel like it's something that I would do on a really regular basis, because I think that market is probably fairly small. Unless I went to Brisbane and did those. But same when we were talking about that lifestyle thing, my hours are school hours, and, you know, stepping out of that on a consistent basis isn't where I'm at the moment, but certainly might be something that I do more in the future. Yeah.
It is enjoyable to do when you get your hands on some teaching time. I find it really
enjoyable.
And so are you an organised cake decorator or a messy one? Here's the truth.
I'm organised, but I am messy, if that makes sense. I am probably a messy creative, but I am organised in my processes. So, but sometimes I can be a bit Jekyll and Hyde. I can definitely be super. Depends what I'm working on as well. Sometimes if there's lots of tools, I'm particularly messy, or if I'm coming up with new designs. So if I'm coming up with designs for, you know, Mother's Day or Christmas, you know, I'm super messy because I'm really working on that. I think those packs, you don't just sort of come up with 3 cookies to put in a box. You know, you want your cookie box to tell a story, or you want it, and you need them to fit well, and you need them to be at a certain price point. So you need to work out how much time that's going to take and work on some popular colors and that sort of thing. So sometimes those processes are super messy for me because I've got stuff all over the show.
Yeah, I would say I'm the same as that too. I am, the same. Mother's Day boxes or whatever boxes, make 10 cookies and the best 3 generally go in the box, and then
I know.
But I find, do you find that's the best way to like get through that creative process, is just to make, you know, like a dozen things that you like and then pick the best?
Yeah. Oh, well, lots of times I have a concept or a theme that I want to get across, or you know, often I'm quite inspired by interior design and that sort of thing, and fashion and those sorts of trends. So I'll base my colorings and that sort of stuff around those things rather than the latest cookie cutter from the latest cookie cutter company. And I'll often, if I don't find something that's out there, I'll sketch a design and get custom cookie cutters to make something up for me, or I'll use existing cutters to come up with a new design. And I'll often sketch out a few of those things, and then you put it together and it doesn't work. So you are always evolving, and then you'll come up with something and go, oh wow, I hadn't thought of doing that, but I really love it. So I think you do just have to put, and that's the play element for me, is coming up with those collections. So I do love those event-based collections, whilst they're not really a money spinner, as you probably know as well. Sometimes I get new clients in, but often for me it's more a creative, fun element of the business. And a place where you can put your own branding and tag onto it as well, your own little touch.
I think that's what's enjoyable about that, being in that creative zone with them, is that it's you that you're putting out there, rather than someone saying to you, here, can you please make me a bluey cake? It's you putting your, you know, your creativity. So I think that kind of makes it more enjoyable, because sometimes you just think, no, I don't want to make another, you know, whatever it is, cake or whatever that you've done before. I think it's for sure. Because that's what got us into cake decorating in the beginning, right, is that we were creative. So I think particularly when people will send things and say, oh, can you copy this, or this is the cake I want, but I want to be creative.
And I will never copy a cake. I don't know that I actually don't have the skill to copy a cake, because I just find everybody's hand is different. So, you know, what you're going to create will always be your hand. So it is always going to come up different. Your tools are different, your space is different, your colorings are different. So things are always going to have some slight variations anyway. But there are people who are amazing at replicating this as well, and doing that. For me, that's not my thing. I prefer to have a freer style around. I don't mind being sent pictures, because it does tell me what sort of style the client likes, and especially if you're doing something quite custom, it'll, you know, and what they don't like. So it does give you some parameters to work within, but I usually ask my clients to let me have some sense of freedom as well. I think also cake sizes are different. So a cake in the same style can look so different on an 8-inch to what it does on a 6-inch as well. So, you know, you've got different spatial awareness and all of that sort of thing to consider. So I think it's always worth telling your clients it's not going to look the same, but we can work within that similar look and feel and be inspired by.
Is there something in your job like that is your least favorite part? Like, What's your least favourite part about dishes?
Oh, I hate doing dishes. Yeah, I hate doing dishes. I would definitely get somebody to do dishes and cleaning if I could. And I don't particularly love doing the bookwork side of things either. I think most decorators would say that as well. If they could just come in on, Thursday and Friday and do the beautiful flurry of and leave the Monday paperwork to somebody else.
Oh.
And I think that's a luxury that I think at some point, when I am able to take on more hours, that I probably would just get a VA to cover some of that, because it does allow you to do the other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the procrastination is the killer, because you have to do it, right? And then you just, you just don't want to. So like when you